Hello?
Yeah.
I'm going to close your door because I also have a 10 o'clock meeting.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
So I won't be at your live
Alright.
stream. Fortunately for you. Unfortunately for me. But I guess we can have this one.
Alright. That'll work. That'll work.
I'm hurting like it so bad. What's your YouTube handle?
I don't even know.
Real though.
I don't know.
Maybe I can see that.
I'll do just a YouTube live for
Are
you.
you going to send me the link?
I'll do a YouTube live just for you later.
Send me the link in case I want to pay attention and mind you.
Okay.
I want you to stay.
Alright.
Tell people smart things.
Love you. Alright.
Tell people smart things.
Love you.
Hey, Ryan.
Morning. I just emailed you a YouTube link to a live video, and I'll just record it, and then if somebody wants to watch it back, they can.
Okay.
So whenever you're ready, I don't, are the two of you together, or is he gonna be somewhere else, or?
Okay, sorry, I had pulled the YouTube up and it had us talking.
Oh, hang on. Yeah, probably. I'll probably just talk to you guys on the phone, and you can just turn your volume down, and then we can.
Okay, let me grab Brandon.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, I'll be right back. Hang on.
All right. Sounds good.
Okay, we're all yours. So do you want me to turn the video on?
Yeah, and you're welcome to kind of try to. I don't know if you want to have two different windows open, or maybe you just want to watch. It's up to you, and I'm happy to review at any point.
Well, we've both been in, so we both know how to get on.
Okay, so I just made him. Was he using your login?
Yes.
So I just made him a login with the password of HVAC1234, and then it'll have him create his own password when he logs in. So,
Okay.
so you don't have to do that right now,
I
but
gave all of them mine so that they all had
Oh.
one.
sure, that's fine. And that's fine with me. It's just if you want to make separate ones or whatever, it's up to you.
You create your own password.
The temporary password is HVAC1234.
Yeah. So when you go into now, so username would still be mine, or is that his?
I just made it Brandon.
Okay. So username is Brandon, and then that's your temporary password, and that'll have you make a new one. Okay, so if I can flip my screen. I'm not really tech savvy, so
It's all right.
I'm in the system right now.
Okay.
So okay, so I don't know. Is it easier just for us to talk on the phone and then be able to?
Yeah, I think so. And then somebody else can watch the recording, and they'll probably be able to hear you on the phone. Probably the easiest
Okay.
thing. So, all right. So are you able to see my screen?
Okay.
It's at the login page, correct?
It just completed the login. It may be a few seconds behind.
Well, I'm on. I'm in the system.
The multi-zone?
Yeah, I'm in multi-zone, so I'm at.
But are you seeing my video?
Okay, so I need to go back. Okay.
I think you gotta push play.
Told you I'm not very tech savvy.
That's all right.
Okay. All right, so we're back on your screen now.
Okay. So let's do this. Its idea is to be pretty straightforward to kind of give you an understanding of the approach we took. You've got these different zones. There's actually there's 8 zones on the air handler, but 2 of them are duplicates. One of them is, or 2 of them go to the gym downstairs, and 2 of them, I guess what you call the community room, upstairs. So there's 2 zones, but they work in parallel. So
Okay.
you've got your occupied cooling and heating set point. It's really just as simple as clicking, and then you can adjust that number to whatever set point you want it to be. The important thing to remember is you don't want your cooling set point to be below your heating set point. That doesn't really work that way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it contradicts itself.
Yep. So it'd want to heat and cool at the same time. So based on what we're seeing here, you can see that all the zones are just slightly below set point except the gym, and because of that, the valves are open on the zones. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so
But on the zones, not the dampers, correct?
Well, the dampers are open. All the dampers are open, and then the valves are opening to allow the hot water to flow. The only time the damper would close with the current setup is if the system is calling for cooling in the summer and you're trying to not overcool that zone.
Okay.
Or it would,
99% of the time it's going to be open.
yeah, or in the fall and the spring, if we're bringing in outside air for cooling, then in that scenario you would. It might also close the damper. I'm talking with Jeff, the engineer that you've engaged, architect.
Yeah, he's one of our board members.
Okay,
so
okay.
that's why we get him in here and stuff.
Gotcha. Okay. So there's one other thing that worth considering that might change the sequence, and I've been discussing with him. But for now, that's basically you'll expect the dampers to be open all winter, and the valves will open and close in response to that.
Okay.
So anything that's underlined in blue is meant to be adjusted. So you can see like the cooling lockout set point is set to 45 degrees. The heating lockout set point is set to 70. When it hits 70 outside, those valves will not open. You can adjust that if you need to, but the idea is you probably shouldn't be heating the building if it's above 70. And
Gosh, no. We
Hmm.
probably wouldn't heat the building if it's above, I think, what do we usually set it, 60?
yeah, and there's actually another separate point that controls the boiler, but this kind of informs that whole aspect. Also, if the boiler's not running, the valves will not open and it won't try to go into a heating mode and cause confusion. So that's kind of how that works. You can see the fan command and fan status. So the status is actually the feedback from the motor, whether it's running or not. You've got your economizer, basically allowing fresh air in. If it gets below 62 and it's not super cold outside, and like it is today, and then you've got your minimum damper position. Any questions on any of that so far?
What did you say the economizer status is? That's the fan?
So the economizer status is if it's below 62 or whatever you have this set point set to, it will allow fresh air to come in to cool the building if there's calls for cooling. You currently don't have any calls for cooling, hence it's disabled. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So another thing you can do, you gotta be careful with this, but if you need to, you can actually right click on where it says like outside air position or fan command. You can force the fan on or off. So I'm just gonna do that for a second. And you're gonna see it changes to purple. And that purple is indicating something's in override. So that tells you that somebody's done something to, basically intervene on the system manually. You should not have to do this on a regular basis. This is only if something is basically mechanically failing, and you need to intervene in some capacity. Like, let's say the hot water valve is stuck open and you're not able to get to it right then. You can force the chilled water valve open to 100% to try to counteract that. Something like that would be really the only scenario where that would make sense. But it is there, so you can test it, and you can even see that the fan status went to off. So we know that when I commanded this fan off, it actually shut off.
Okay.
So.
Do you recommend a lot of our issues with our dampers, with them being so frozen up, is not being moved or none of it was being used from time to time, so they locked up, and that's where a lot of issues came. Do you recommend overriding and opening and closing those dampers every 6 months or any kind of
I think that's an important thought. I would recommend maybe lubricating the dampers, and then you can come down here and again right click and override open and close the damper so that you can stroke it, maybe put a little grease on it or something and avoid what you're describing. Yeah. Again, the actual controllers themselves have a display on it that offers these same override functions. So you can override the damper from the display. You don't have to get on the system. So that's there as well. So yeah, you can definitely do that. And Cerrone, if they're involved and they need to test something, they can log into the system, or they can use the display to test a valve, test a damper, anything like that.
And again, you said to override, you would hit the right click button.
Yes. So if you right click on, it would be anything that you would call an output or a command. So you control a damper, you control a valve. You don't directly control the space temp, so you can't override the space temp. It's just a reading that the system has. So, but again, anything that that the system is directly controlling mechanically or electrically, you can do an override on. So, let's see if there's anything else. No, I think that pretty much covers that. Unless you've got any questions.
Not on this, what about our lights?
Okay, yeah, I had a couple questions about like how do you program the schedule for the lights? Because like daylight savings time comes around and
Sure.
you change. How do you change that schedule for the lighting?
So- Sure.
We can get to that if you have to in a minute. But also the other thing is, what about the pool temperature reading? We used to be able to read the water temperature, and that was very key, especially being able to check it when you're at home. Just to
Okay.
make sure on the weekends everything's still running properly.
Okay. Well, so the the outdoor lights actually automatically respond to your GPS coordinates are entered into the system, and it calculates the position of the sun based on the time of the year, and it will automatically adjust the lights based on daylight savings. It doesn't even care about daylight savings, actually. It just automatically calculates that based on the time of the year, so that as we approach, the first day of winter, it starts earlier and earlier and earlier. And then as we go into spring, it automatically adjusts that. So the idea is you never have to think about it.
Okay, so right now I know we have, so they're just, when are they automatically, are they shutting off then, or?
Yeah, so on the top right-hand corner, you can even see parking lot lights. Again, you could force them on if you needed to. But yeah, they will automatically shut off once the sun gets 5 degrees over the horizon, and then as the sun is setting, once it's 5 degrees above the horizon, and I can make it a little bit more aggressive if you need, it will automatically respond to that.
Okay, because we shut, during the week we close at 8 p.m. and we usually had them set to go off about 9 o'clock.
Okay, we can do that too. I can make a schedule so that it shuts down.
And that's how we would, if we were able to adjust that, because like I said, there's this last weekend we had I don't know what time they shut. Well, I guess what time would they normally just shut off at night?
Well, as it is now, they don't shut off at night, but we can make you a schedule.
That's what I was wondering. I'm trying to be as frugal
Sure.
as possible with our electrical. Because like I said, on the weekends we close at 3 o'clock or 2 o'clock, and it just doesn't make sense to have lights on all night long.
Sure, no, that makes sense. No, I applaud that. Honestly, most of my customers aren't quite that aggressive, but yeah, I will add a schedule. I'll show you.
When you're a not-for-profit and gotta help save everywhere you can.
Sure.
You learn to be very.
No.
That's why with us, and the question, like you said about the pool, the reason being with that was that we had an incident where we weren't told and the pool went down on us and we had to cancel classes and all kinds of stuff because it got down to almost 80 degrees on us. So it's just kind of nice to be able to, like I said, on the weekend, Brandon or I can get on our phones really quick and just check it and see.
Sure. Okay. So I'll show you the schedule we have for the HVAC, and then I'll add something for the lights. It'll function similar, and if we need to review it, we can do that. In regards to the pool, I never found a temperature sensor, but I'm willing to pay Cerrone to help me throw a temperature sensor in somewhere appropriately and hook it in. I don't. You don't know where that temperature sensor is, do you?
I believe it's in with the heater in that gym closet.
Okay.
There's a return and a.
Yeah, I remember you taking me in there. I never found the sensor, but I'll enlist Cerrone. I can have him help me hook that up. So I will get that added too.
That is,
I think the only other spot it would be is underneath the pool deck itself. I believe they do have another sensor down there.
Okay, that's good to know. And I can even set it up so it could email you an alarm if the pool gets too low.
that would be even perfect, yeah. Because like you said, we have very sensitive because we have seniors that blow gasket if it's below 84.
Sure.
And I have a swim team though that it shouldn't be more than 80 to 82 for them, but they're really good as long as we don't get much. As long as we don't really go over 85, swim team doesn't say too much. But
You got like a 1 degree range.
oh my gosh, good gravy.
Sure. Okay. Well, like I said, I'll enlist Cerrone to help me get that resolved, and we'll get that on
Yeah,
there.
that would be great. And I mean, if we need, I don't know if there's an extra charge for that because it wasn't part of. I know there were some things when you first came in that Cerrone didn't let you know that were part of everything. So
I don't think it'll be that big of a deal. So.
okay,
And
that would be great. Thank you.
Nick's having me do some other stuff, so I'll probably be up your way again, not so distant future.
Okay.
So.
Well, I appreciate Nick connecting us with you
Sure.
because that was great for us.
Well, I think
So,
it was a little challenging, especially when I was very ill, but there at the end. But
I hope you didn't end up getting COVID.
no, it wasn't. It wasn't.
Well,
It was
well, that's good.
my foster daughter brought something home, so I don't know.
Oh, no.
Yep. So.
Well, I'm glad you're feeling better. We know how that's going. That's why Laura's not here. This is
Oh yeah.
in the last week and a half. She has 4 little girls.
Oh wow. Okay.
And then the last 2 weeks, probably almost every other day or so, she's got one of them homesick.
Wow. Okay. Well,
So,
that is tough. That is
Yeah.
tough.
all right.
So we'll just go to the gym unit. The gym and pool units work identically,
Okay.
but I can just kind of show you what we're dealing with. So you can see here it says dampers are currently inoperable. As such, damper control is disabled. You just fix that spelling, but we installed the wire and the hardware to control the dampers, but the dampers themselves are seized up and leak really bad. I tried to fix it when we were there, tried to loosen some stuff, but honestly, we were getting a lot of cold air leaking through, so I was a little bit concerned about that. So we just kind of sealed everything the best we could and installed it, and if the dampers get replaced at some point, everything's there that you need.
You're talking the ones that are in that little wall space.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I know that those guys have sometimes stated that it, like during the time of year when it's really cold like this, to take and put like some blocking.
Yeah, there's cardboard in it right now.
Yeah, we cut them as tight as we can, and we've had no complaints. The only thing we have is we left because we've never had fans that worked over the pool, exhaust fans and the gym, and we had both of them replaced, and they're not on a, what is it, the motor?
The motor starter.
Yeah, they're on all the time, and it's funny, we have a flow through the building that we've had to try and figure out how to keep it from pulling the locker room door open.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I haven't heard really much more complaining, and I know we're still waiting on. I'm waiting for my board to decide whether we're going to have them just go ahead and put those coils in for the locker room and the upstairs, or if they're going to put the new heater. That's what Jeff. So.
That makes sense. At some point, at some point, if you want to look at getting control of the exhaust fan, you think it's running all night? Is that what you're?
Yeah, it runs 24/7.
Yeah.
If you want to look at getting control of that, it could be added to the system.
Yeah.
I don't know how big they are, but if you're exhausting air all night and it's cold out, or if it's really hot outside in the evening, it might be worth something to consider in the future.
Right. The only issue that we have is we can't shut the water. The speed would be better if we could have done a variable speed in the pool, because if we shut it off too long, it steams and it goes up.
Do you know if it's a 3-phase power or if it's a single phase?
Nick and them would know. They
Okay.
put them in.
I'll ask them. The only reason I ask is we could retrofit a variable speed drive on it. That's an option too.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I wasn't going to complain. I got the board to agree to them, and because we needed it. And like I said, I've been here almost 3 years, and there'd never been one in the gym. It hadn't ever worked. So it's kind of nice to have some airflow in there. I think it helps with the floors and stuff. in there.
Sure. No, that makes perfect sense. So again, the stuff in blue you can click on. The damper position won't do anything at this time, but I can re-enable it once it gets resolved in the future. So you have your set point, you have your unoccupied heating set point, and got your valve. It's just trying to basically maintain that 70 degrees, and that's about all there is to it.
You said that you would be able to set up a schedule for the parking lot lights.
Mhm.
Once you do that, will there be another spot that we can click? and
Yes,
tap into?
yeah. It'll say light schedule. Yep,
Okay.
Okay, perfect.
yep.
I had another question about the pool air temperature.
Mhm.
We usually like to have it between 80 to 82 degrees in that pool deck, and I noticed that those valves were completely open. So at the 76 or whatever it's at, is that the highest temperature that it'll ever get, or is there a way that we can manage that, or no?
Well, so there's two factors. There's if the valve's open 100%, that's doing as much as it can. However, there is also the water temperature, the boiler temperature, which is internal in the boiler. So it may be something where we need to look at cranking that boiler up a little bit. But to your question, what I'm seeing is, we're discharging based on 100% valve. So it may be something just needed to crank the boiler up just a hair more aggressive on the outside air temperature. But I think I set this.
We got a lot of people with that little draft that we have with the fans working that complain about when they get out that they're freezing. And so if it was even 2 degrees, 4 degrees warmer, it would be ideal. So if that would,
Okay.
that's at all possible.
Yeah,
That would be great.
yeah. I'll talk to Nick about that. Yeah, no problem. But it functions identically. So.
Brandon and I are just laughing because I know where he's coming from. He's getting the complaints that I used to complain before I took this position. So now he's getting them. And then if they don't like what he says, then they come to me. Just like they used to do when I was in my position and we had our other CEOs. So it's just so funny.
No, I understand that. I kind of run the day-to-day field operations for our company, and my father is doing the estimating now inside the office. And when people don't like what I tell them, they'll try to go to him and see what he says. So
Yeah, that's why I said it's just funny because I can tell them, I used to be able to tell them the exact same thing he's telling them right now, and they were listening to you for a while, and now all of a sudden they're doing the same thing. Well, that's not right.
sure, that makes.
They don't like the thermometers, so, thermometers are broken if it's not reading what they want it to read.
that is a thing. Some people do view it that way.
Yeah.
Um.
So the schedule.
So here's the schedule. So we, what time do you close in the evenings?
Monday through Thursday we close at 8 p.m.
Okay.
Hang on, yeah, the swim team's out of here. So usually by, I would say 8:30, we would have lights off. Friday night would be 7:30.
Okay.
And then, like I said, Saturday and Sunday, we close at, let's see, Saturday at 3 and Sunday at 2. But like we said, last week, if we can adjust it, last week we had, on Saturday night, we had an overnight rental. So they didn't come into the building until 7
Yep.
o'clock.
I'll show you exactly. There's a special function to do that, and I can show you that, or you can just manually adjust it. But so you can click here and kind of drag your times to whatever, and you can also adjust it here by typing. So we're gonna go ahead and set this, and then if you right click, I'm gonna hit Monday through Friday, and I'm saying what time do you close Friday? 7:30.
Friday at 7.
7. Okay. So there's the schedule. This will control all 3 areas. Now let's say you wanted to do a special event. We can come in here and click add a new event, and I'm just going to give you an example. We'll do, and we'll say the 25th of December.
Yeah, I mean, 25th, we're closed. So
Yep.
That's Saturday, Sunday and Saturday, or Monday.
Yep. So now I'm just going to schedule it as unoccupied all day.
So they won't even turn on.
So it'll turn on if it gets too cold in the building, but it won't waste energy if there's nobody in there. Alternatively, if you wanted to do an overnight, you can do, I won't leave this, but 15th of December, 2023, and I can say, I want a new event, and I want it to be occupied from 5:30 to midnight, if that makes sense. And then you have
Okay, now this is for the heating system?
this is for the heating and cooling. Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So you can do both under special events tab. You can do both occupied and unoccupied events. So if you do occupied, it will override the schedule and make sure the building's on. If you do unoccupied, it'll override the schedule and not have the heating and cooling on unless it gets to those extreme temperatures.
So kind of puts it in economy mode.
Yep. Yep.
So that's
Great.
Yep. So
Yeah, I could never do that before.
does it say you open at 8 o'clock, you have it occupied from 8 on? Is there any pre-heating that goes on for an hour or two before, or is it just at that time that you set occupied? So in other words, if the building's going to be down to 55 because it's in the economy setting
Mhm.
or whatever, you have to put it occupied 2 hours earlier to get it to start heating? Or is it already
so
automatically?
I can enable like a predictive function. Some people like it, some people don't. And the other thing is, every building's slightly different, so it does take a little bit of a feel. But the way it is now, you would want to start it with extreme temperatures. You'd want to start it, a little bit earlier than you might otherwise do. So if you set it for 8 o'clock, the system's going to come on at 8 o'clock and try to get to those set points. So if you want it,
We open at 5:30 in the morning, so.
so setting it at 4 is probably a good place to start. The one thing that does do, if it gets below 10, it will not shut off just for freeze protection.
Okay, perfect.
So that's we've just found that whatever minimal savings you get there is not worth the headaches and possible frozen water lines and stuff.
No.
We have yet to have any issue with it. It's a block building.
Oh, okay,
it's
well.
very well. So I was just for curiosity's sakes, I didn't know how exactly that works, so I was kind of curious on that.
Yep. So I can turn on a predictive temperature based on outdoor air, and but every building's slightly different, and it sounds like yours does pretty well holding that. So.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and put in all the holidays for you after this, so you don't have to worry about doing that. I can copy and paste it from another site.
So the light schedule will pretty much kind of be the same way.
Yeah, it'll be the same, except it'll just say on off instead of occupied, unoccupied. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, that's that. Drawing system. Yes.
That's so much better than what we had.
Okay. So we are enabling the boilers, but the boilers do control themselves. And we get a feedback from the boiler. So where it says fire rate, that's just telling you how much load is on the boiler. It can also send an alarm. If the boiler's got a fault, you can see the water temperature. We tell the pumps to start and stop, and you can see which pump is running. And when it's above 62 out, the boiler will shut off based on this set point on the screen. You can play with that to whatever you think. If you lower that down to 58, you're going to save even more money. So whatever you're comfortable with, I would encourage you to be as aggressive as you think you can without upsetting anybody. So does that all make sense?
My office, I can hide in my office. I'm warm in here. So.
There you go. Then, and I don't know all the details, but there is a chilled water pump up there that was tied into this, and near as I can tell, it's just a pump. And so there is a chilled water pump enable point. Again, you can adjust that.
Is that the one that's in the next room over that was along the wall?
It's in the next room over. There's a pump on the wall. The only thing I know about it is
Go ahead. That's connected to the HVAC outside, the air unit.
Yep.
Ronnie knows about it. They put that in, so.
Yeah, I found a wire that was tied into it, and at some point they told us it needed to be able to be turned on and off from this. I just landed it on our system.
Okay.
I don't know any more about the chiller beyond that, but it is here, and
We don't either, so.
and it's possible. It's possible again that at some point maybe it's worth tying that chiller directly in and getting some data off of that, but it's here as a starting point at the very least. So that I would say covers everything there. Any questions or thoughts?
Probably a surrounding thing, but you were talking about hiking the pressure of the system, the boiler, the temperature for the pool,
Mm-hmm.
pool deck. That would be a surrounding thing, right, with those boilers?
Yes, it would. Yeah.
To be able to adjust those or set those a certain way.
You're talking about for the controlling the temperature of the. Yeah. So you can see right here we got 144 degree water. So the boiler itself has a outdoor air temperature sensor, and it says if I'm 30 degrees, I want 145 degree water or whatever it's set to, and it automatically adjusts that. You can make it more aggressive, and that's something Cerrone would do. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So that is that. Let's see. In regards to getting this on your phone, I can do it from my phone. Are you both on Android phones?
I do, yeah.
Okay. I'm on an iPhone, so I'm sending you a screenshot of what I've got. It won't exactly help you, but I can send you the details. We may need your IT guy to just give you a little bit of guidance or something on that side, but I definitely will help you through getting that set up. In fact, you know what I'll do? I will get one of my guys that has an Android phone. We'll set it up on his phone, and I'll have him take a screenshot of the settings, and then I'll send it to you, and then we can have another quick call, make sure you can access it.
Okay. No, that'd be great. Yeah, I'm not an iPhone person.
That's fine. I just so. And when you are on your phone, if you push and hold, so you can't right click on your phone, right? There's no mouse. If you push and hold, that's the equivalent of a right click.
Okay.
So
It's more so that we can kind of, like, I can check it when I'm
sure,
out of the building, and then if I have to, I come in. But
sure, that makes sense.
I spent many hours here.
No, I understand that.
Fire alarm goes off at 1 a.m.
There you are.
And I'm 20 minutes to 25 minutes away. Depends on how fast I drive.
Sure.
So,
Did you say that there was an app, or you just?
It's just a web page. Yep.
he's gonna have a guy with an Android send it to us. So.
Yeah, I'll set it up on his phone and we'll take a screenshot of it, and just so it should,
Okay.
and then we can talk through it. So there is an alarms page. This is basically if shows you if there's any alarms or any past alarms. I triggered an alarm last night just so you could see it. It wasn't real, but I just triggered it so you could see. It says pool air handler unit fan fail, and the time. This little green bell right here means that it was a problem, but it's not currently a problem. If it was red, that would be telling you it's actively an issue. And so we could put a pool water temperature alarm failure on there,
Great.
and it'll be red, and it'll send out a text alert, an email, letting you know that there is a problem. So I'm going to check that box and hit acknowledge, and it's going to go away because it's not an issue anymore. Let's see. I think there's anything else that would be. That pretty much covers it. If you got questions, feel free to ask. If you want me to set up more users, I can do that. If you don't care, that's fine too. The only nice thing is if you have separate users and there is a question about who did what, there is a log I can pull and tell you who did what. Maybe you don't have those issues, and that's great if you don't, but it's just an option.
It's probably mostly you and I. Shane, maybe. I mean, Shane's connected to mine, but
That's fine. If you're not concerned about it, it's no skin off my back. So.
just the Brandon guy, make sure he's not.
So I will, like I said, I will reach out to Cerrone, find out what they know about that temperature sensor, or we can get one installed, and I'll have them run a wire for me, and we will get you,
Okay.
what you need to be. Any other thoughts
That
or
would be great.
comments, questions?
No,
I think that covers it.
I'm impressed on it. Like I said, this is so much easier, and the fact that you can reach out from it and everything, and if we ever have a question, because
Sure.
like I said, when we had the alpha controls, we had to wait till they could get in here, and the last time they had the system was set up was so old that they had to call a guy who they had retired in.
Yeah, I've seen those, and I've got some systems that I've not been doing this 20 years yet. I'm on year 13 or 14, but I've got some systems that I take care of that are 20 years old, and I'm one of the few people that can still deal with them. So I understand that can definitely be a challenge. It's definitely a headache,
Yeah.
but hopefully the idea is going to be simple, and hopefully you just set it and forget it. And if you have to log in and make an adjustment, but it shouldn't be something you have to mess with all the time.
Nope, that's exactly what we want. I greatly appreciate it. It looks nice too. Looks much nicer.
One quick question. You're talking about the zones and there being two for the social room and two for the gym downstairs.
Yes.
What is the reason for 2 zones each spot?
It's just how they ran the ductwork. I guess because they're big enough.
So the social room being on one zone is on that one wall, and then the opposite wall across from it's another zone, correct?
Yeah,
And then the same
physically it
for
is.
the basement.
Yeah, physically there's different ductwork. But in the logic, it's just set up to control them because you wouldn't want them trying to fight each other.
And so, do you have a social room zone 1, zone 2, or how does that work?
So they're numbered actually. If you go up to the controller, they're numbered zone 1 through 8, and so it's just because that's how they were like not labeled on the duct, and then it's just like zone 1 and 6 are the social room, and the gym are 2 and 7.
adjust them on here, they just cover both those.
Yes, they run together. Yeah. So you don't have to worry about that as far as this goes. It's just if there's something that goes awry, then in that scenario you would have to do something about that.
So if you set zone number 1, that's also covering zone number 6. Is that correct?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Including the override, I made it so that if you are on here and you override the damper, it will actually logically link that to the other damper just for purposes of not causing it to fight each other. Last thing I discussed briefly with Jeff, it would be worth getting a variable speed controller for this multi-zone air handler. Not something you have to do right now, but if we had one, it slows the fan down, which saves money, and then we could close these dampers that are not in use. Like the gym doesn't need it cooling or heating right now, so we can close this damper down. And then that allows you to slow the fan down even more and makes the system quieter. The fan starts up slower, less likely to, I don't know if there's a belt on it or not, but less likely to break a belt. So something just kind of to consider in the future. If, a year and a half, 2 years from now, hey, you got a little bit of money. I'm sure it's always tight, but in terms of something that you can do that has a real impact, it'll pay for itself in probably less than 18 months, just because you slow the fan down when you don't need it, and something to just, keep in the back of your mind.
I can look into some grants. There's grants, you can a lot of times get grants through the government, plus also, which paid for part of it, plus also through ComEd, NICOR, and a lot of times with stuff like this, they might help with grants when it helps.
Yes, I don't know the exact details in your area, but I get 90 in Indianapolis. It's $93 per horsepower for that for one of those variable speed controllers, and usually that pays for the 75% of the cost of the device. There is there's the installation, but it goes a long way to doing that for sure.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well,
Brandon?
Nope, that covers about everything. Thank you, Ryan.
all right. Well, I appreciate the opportunity, and always feel free to reach out if you got a problem. I have it saved on my phone, so if I'm not near my computer, I might be able to intervene and help. But hopefully, you can set it and it'll put you on easy street for a while. There you go.
Sounds great. Well, Merry Christmas and have a good New Year for you and your family. And
I appreciate it. You as well.
all right, thank you.
Thanks.